Welcome back, everyone. Today I'm be giving you the tutorial on this 1.5 seconds opening 6x6 piston door that I built with Lamendo. This door is pretty epic, not going to lie. It's a bit overdue of a tutorial, but it's just such a long tutorial and door to build. We kind of put it off for a while. So here it is, finally. Here's some specs about the door. It works in versions 1.16 and above. And it is 5 by 16 by 17 tall, and that's 1,360 blocks. Here's the animation. It's very, very clean. This door has 5 game ticks of cooldown after you close it, and 2 game ticks of cooldown after you open it, so there's not really that much reset time. You can kind of rapid fire open and close it. And it's not locational or directional, fully reliable, so if it doesn't work, you kind of messed up, but just try to see if you can manage to follow this long tutorial. So the space you're going to need is 16 by 5 by 17 tall, so we're going to be doing to start off. The wiring is going to be going down to this level right here, and so find the middle 2 blocks of this, so kind of like this, and then build up 1, and then this is where we're going to have the bottom hipsters layout right here, and your door frame is going to be right here on this level. So the wiring goes down 5 blocks. So I'll just build up the 6x6 frame, if I can actually build. There we go. That's the frame. You can see this is where it's going to be, in the center of this, and on the 3rd block, like so. And we can just continue with the layout here. We can do the bottom triples layout. Just finish off the storage for the hipsters here. I'll try to be explaining as much as I can, but it's been a long time since I've actually built this door with Loom. So some of my explanations may not be spot on, but I'll try. And so here's the layout for the side like here. Just copy that. All these are going to be sticky pistons. And then same thing on the top. Triples like this. Hipsters are identical. 4 columns of those. Row of storage pistons here. Door blocks on those. And then triple piston up there. Are all stickies. All sticky pistons. I'm using sticky side texture pack this time, so should be pretty easy to follow. And that is going to be the layout for our pistons here. And then what we're going to need now is to do the layout for the 2 sliders, because there's going to be 2 sliders in this door. The first one is going to be used to power the top triple piston on the bottom using this block right here. And so we're going to be pushing an observer. This is a sticky piston, by the way. Pushing this observer up. We have glass, so what we have to do is place glass, solid, glass, solid, because these 2 have to be solid, and 2 more glass like that. A normal piston up here to push it back down. And that's it for this, because this piston will give 2 pulses. We don't need the double slider as we did in the other, or as Lim showed in his 1.41. That's bigger. So same thing on the other side. 2 more glass blocks up like this. Normal piston facing down. And on this side, we're going to have the slider that controls the side triples, so which is pushing a block and observer out here. And the reason why we have this block and observer here is because there's no time enough to push a sideways facing observer down, which is in the previous doors of this size that Loom made. So we had to come up with that kind of innovation. And the slider is really interesting because it's going to start at this level right here. A normal piston, then a sticky piston, observer, solid block, 5 glass blocks, and then down. And this side has this piston at this level and a glass block right here because it just worked out that way better. Then 2 sticky pistons like this. And the reason why this piston right here is sticky is because we need to, when it starts pushing down, we need this observer to get here after 2 game ticks. And the thing is, if we just pushed it with a normal piston, we couldn't spit this in time and it would arrive 1 game tick too late. And so that's actually kind of why you have the weird animation that looks like this when it goes out. If you look closely enough, you can see this observer moves out 1 game tick faster. And then it'll move back up. just like this. So the same thing is going to be on the other side. Normal sticky, solid block, 5 glass blocks, and the only difference on this side is that we don't have that extra glass block in the slider there. That is the entire layout, so now we can get going on the input circuit. And so our input is going to be on this level right here, 4 blocks like this. We have, maybe if my hotbars would behave. Oh, I actually don't have redstone dust in my hotbar. That's a little bit unfortunate. Dust like this, and a lever on this side. It can be on any of these 4 blocks, but I'll explain the input location later and whatever. Down onto a slab, 2 blocks like this, and 2 like this. And that's, technically your lever can be on these 2, but why? And we're going to start off with instant repeaters, like this. This is going to be the power lines. So we're going to go up 2 blocks like this, do a slab staircase, 3 more up like that, and we're going to have a blue block here. Not exactly sure why it's blue, but it is. So we'll go up and to the right here, have a slab here, a note block here, and then 2 more slabs up like this. And then we're going to have a block next to this sticky piston here. And we're going to have a slab right here, an observer facing, oh wait, no, that's not it. This is the observer facing that way. So away after this blue block, observer here, facing away from that sticky piston. And have a red block here. You're going to need a dropper and a hopper, like that, and a block on top. And make sure you put a wooden shovel in this dropper. And we can just, oops, put dust on all these. Like that. And we're going to do pretty much the same thing on the other side with a tiny difference. And that one difference is right away. Instead of having 2 blocks up, we're going to have a slab right here. 3 more slabs like that. Blue block, slab here, note block, oops, a slab up like this, another slab, blue block there, have an observer facing this direction, red block up like this, wait, this one needs to be the dropper and hopper, like that, put the wooden shovel in there, and then red block like that. And then you can just put dust on all of these. If I can aim, of course. That's the power lines. And now before we go on to any of the actual wiring and things, I recommend that you block off all these things with obsidian, because you don't want to be fixing this all the time as we keep testing the doors. And for the top and bottom hipsters, you need to place hoppers like this, and hoppers like that, to block everything from spamming whenever we test things. And so you can test the power lines now. You can see the dust will reach all the way up to here, all the way up to there, signal strength of 1. Just do that, nothing really. And so now we can start with the doubles here. The bottom doubles are a little stupid, but that's alright. Compared to Loom's, the 1.4 one that Loom did a tutorial on, we made a small change in the animation. So what happens is the corner blocks are going to be going in first, and then these 2 at the same time. Instead of just this, it's going to be just the corners. So it's more symmetrical, and it looks really, really nice. And the way we get this is by powering this back piston instantly, dust on this observer. I'm going to have this run down into an observer facing to the left here. Run this up onto a note block. And then we're going to have a piston right here, which is going to be updating a sticky piston right here, facing upwards with a target on it. And then that's going to have exactly the amount of delay that we need to make it all synchronized. And so now for the retraction, we're going to have a sticky piston here, observer facing inwards, gravity block on that, or sand, concrete, whatever, because that gives a delay of 3 gain ticks, which is what we need. I'm going to power this sand with a furnace here, or a comparator of that furnace, and that'll power it like that. And then to get the full retraction of this piston, we're going to have a lamp underneath here, observer, I'm going to have a block, note block, put a glass to silence the note block, and then have a sticky piston and a redstone block right, not there, here. And that'll give the 0 tick to this piston right here. And then to get power this piston right here, simply have this here, it's going to get bud powered by the sand, and then an observer here. And then to get the retraction of this block right here, I'm going to have to do it in a very strange way. Not there, note block right next to this dust right here. Take 2 observers out from it. This is going to be blue because this is actually reused for the slider pistons here. I never actually placed them, which is interesting. But anyways, so then break this observer here, and that'll actually give a double pulse, but it doesn't matter since it gets blocked, because blocks will be moving here at 5 ticks anyways, so it's not a huge deal. And yeah, let's do the same thing on the other side. That should be it for that side. First thing to do is to place observer facing downwards here, dust on it. Observer facing to the right this time, no block. We're going to have our piston here. Just going to be updating our piston, sticky piston, with target right here. We're going to have our sand here, observer facing that way, sand on there. Grab our furnace. Here. Put that in there. And then we get the retraction lamp, observer, block, no block here, glass to silence the no block, and a sticky piston with a redstone block right here. Normal piston here, observer there, and then have note block next to this dust. 2 observers from this note block into a block here, sticky piston facing up, and then observer into there. And that should be the bottom doubles done. Then for the top ones, it's a little bit simpler. I have an observer facing downwards here, and then that dust slab up here. And we're going to have our, this is the same thing as what the target does. It'll just power these 2 at the perfect time. And then we're going to have the same sand thing. So sticky piston right here, an observer here, sand, and same furnace thing to power it. Power to there. Then we're going to have this normal piston to update it. And then, of course, the observer here. Make sure you place an obsidian there. And that'll prevent this from pushing at the wrong time. And then to get the full retraction for this, we're going to use a 0 tick generator. So 2 observers like this, have a normal piston, 2 observers like that, and then a sticky piston and a block. And the reason why this works is because the game will always process the observer that is detecting the piston head first, rather than the base. So what will happen is it'll power this for 1 microtick. So it'll give just 1 microtick length 0 tick, which is enough to power this one. And also won't bud this, which is very important. So now we have to get the pulse to this, which is surprisingly, this works fine and doesn't interfere with anything, even though this is powering 80 zillion different pistons. It seems to work perfectly fine, and it's reliable. So now let's just do the same thing on the other side here. Observer facing down, dust, up onto a slab here, sticky piston with a block, like that. I'm going to have the sand right here, normal piston, or sticky piston, observer, sand. And to power the sand, we just use the furnace. Any item in there. Have this with the update. Observer here. Make sure you place the movable obsidian there. I'm going to get the 0 tick, 2 observers like that, normal piston, 2 observers down like this, sticky piston, and block like that. And to get the pulse to this, just no block, observer. And now we can actually test this. We can replace these 4 blocks, or these 8 blocks. We can see, let's do that. And this. And what happens here is kind of irrelevant. We just have to make sure that these are fully retracted on all four, and that should be good, provided you followed everything correctly. Now we're going to block these all off with obsidian, so we know they work. And then we're going to move on to the bottom helper triples. And these are different, very different on either side. They're not really symmetrical at all. So actually, the sliders are symmetrical, so we're going to start with that. And so what we have to do is solid power these sliders on the opening so they can start extending instantly. And how we're going to do that is have a sticky piston with a block here. That's going to be going onto this torch. And then to get the update, we're going to have a sticky piston right here, the block, and we'll have a normal piston right here. That'll update both the slider and the piston right here to start extending instantly. And then basically this will stay on for 2 ticks and a couple micro ticks. So what will happen is this will go up, and then it will stay here for a very small amount of time, enough to give us the first 0 tick at 2 ticks, and then it will go back down. And then to get this to push back up at the right time, we need to get a 1 game tick pulse, which we can actually get by using a lamp here, dust here, then this right there. And that'll give the 1 game tick pulse to push this observer up again for the second pulse, 0 tick up here. And then to push this back down, we're going to have this redstone, or this comparator here, no block. Where's my torch? There it is. Torch, blocks like this, and a 3 tick repeater, and a piston right here for block event delay, so it gives the second 0 tick. And we're going to do the same thing on the other side. I have sticky piston here, block, sticky piston there, block, block there, 2 torches, and then have a lamp, observer, dust, and then back down. Then to push it back, the same thing. Comparator here. I keep cycling my inventory items, I'm sorry. No block with torch. And then, which would be this over here. 3 tick repeater. And then a block and 2 pistons like that. And we can actually test this slider here. Oh, we don't forget the updater piston here either. Don't forget that one. And you can see these pistons will give 2 0 ticks, and then it will shove it back down. That's exactly what we want. It'll grab the 2 blocks from here. Then to finish off everything, well, not finish it, well, just to do the actual triple extender, I have a block right here. This is going to be the closing pulse to start extending the bottom one start extending this bottom piston at 3 ticks. So a torch on target, 2 tick repeater there. And then we can actually use this block right here. We can have dust on a slab, and that'll give us the solid power to this piston that we need. And then to retract it at the right time, we can have this, put a lamp there, 2 tick repeater on the lamp, then a 1 tick, or then observer right there. That'll retract it in time. And then to retract this bottom piston at the right time, I'm going to have a lamp right here. Spam a gazillion observers, 1 this way, 2 towards the piston, 1 back this way again, 2 more toward there, or 1 more toward there, and then a normal piston, and then a observer up there. And that'll retract at the right time. And then to get the pulse to retract the piston at this level, we're going to have a piston right here, 3 observers like that, normal piston, and up to a rail, and then 2 more observers into a solid floor block. This one has to be solid. And then to get the final double pulse to this, we're going to be leeching off of some of the hipster circuit, so we're going to have to build that right now. Grab a leaf, a log like this, go up 2 observers to a rail, 2 more observers, 1 across, 1 up into that, and go down into through this furnace, 2 tick repeater here. I have a sticky piston with the observer facing away from it, and an observer right here going into that dust on the slab there. And that is going to be giving us our double pulse. And now for this side, it's very, very different. we're going to start off by placing the lamp there, 3 observers, dust like this. It's going to go up onto a block, onto a slab, onto another block, 2 dust, and then a 3-tick repeater into that. This is the same. I'm going to have block, dust with dust on a slab, and a 1-tick repeater into that. And then to get, this is going to be the same, except this is just a normal block and not a lamp. And then we can place an observer here. And then for the bottom piston, it's pretty much the same. 2 more observers, and then a normal piston, and then this. And then to get the pulse to this right here, I'm going to place 2 observers like this into a block, into a sticky piston, and make sure this block is away from the sticky piston like that. A observer, rail, 2 more observers up into a block here. And then for the double pulse, we're going to be doing it almost the same. But we need to have the log and leaf thing right here instead. And this will uncut instantly, so it doesn't matter that it's there. Then the leaf is in the same place, so I'm going to have everything from here the same as the other side. 2 observers up, rail, 2 observers up, observer facing downwards, 2-tick repeater, sticky piston, observer away from it, and that. And now we can give these a test. Replace these obsidians, place obsidians here. You can see that these bottom pistons will have extended on both of them. You can delete the obsidian. You can see that they're going to retract in sync like that. So that is the bottom helper triples. You can block those up now. And now we can move on to the top ones. So first off, we're going to be having to get the pulses to grab the blocks, which we can do from right here. The first one we're going to get from this normal piston right here, an observer like so. And the second one we're going to get from this, like that. Where's my, there it is. And this has to be a repeater right here because this dust has to finish updating. Otherwise, this will have a chance to update too soon and not give the 0-tick down there. So it's a tile tick priority thing there. And then to get the pulse to this, we're going to need a slab, observer facing this way, 2 dust, and a 1-tick repeater. And then to get the update to this piston, we're going to be doing more leaching off of the hipster circuits. We're going to be building some of that now. Sticky piston with redstone block here. Oops. Normal piston there, which will update this piston with a log on it like this. Grab these 2, torch on that, observer facing upwards, slab, block up like this, and then you're going to have your ceiling blocks right here, and then a target, which I do not have, right here. If I can have dust, that would be real nice. Whoops. And place dust on all that. And we're going to have 2 normal pistons right here to update these. And then we're just going to build the same thing on the other side right here. Dust here on a slab, observer facing that way, dust, repeater there. Have the same thing here. Stick normal piston, observer into these 2 blocks. 2 dust like this, and then 2 observers into light grade, into a block, into a repeater, into a block down there. And then to get these pistons extended, we're going to have to be doing more of the hipster circuit. So observer facing out here, 1-tick repeater on that, 2 blocks like this, slab, blocks here, and dust on here, a 2-tick repeater right there. Then we're going to have observers here, here, facing down and across, and that's going to be getting the retraction at this level right here. But it doesn't mess up the hipsters because the pulse to this right here and this one quasi connectivity gets blocked by these extending. So it's all good. Dust across there, block up, 2-tick repeater, and to keep it extended for longer. Oh wait, this has to be that. So over there, 2-tick repeater, 2 more blocks, 2 ticks, and then 3 ticks into this dust right there. That'll keep these extended for long enough. And then now to get the retraction from when these pistons will move up to here. That's going to be done differently on both sides. So for this side, it's going to be 2 observers from this 2-tick repeater right here. That's going to be going into a block, then observer facing downwards, and then a rail right here. And then on this side, we're just going to be spamming 4 observers from that 1-tick repeater down into that. All right, and now to get the double pulse on this side, we can just have 3 leaves like this. This is a ridiculously convoluted way to get it, but I think it's pretty funny. 2 observers up like this, dust, and then have a block right here, and then a sticky piston. This is going to be a toggle, and then a 2-tick repeater like this, and then we're going to have a sticky piston facing that way, an observer down. That's going to get the double pulse for this side. And this side, we have to build even more of the hipster circuit. There's a normal piston here, observer like that, sticky piston right here, a log, and then a leaf right here. 3 observers up and around, block here, rail, and then an observer facing this way, block, repeater on 1 tick going into this block, then have a normal piston facing this way, and then an observer down into this. And that should be the entire top helper triples circuit. And to actually test this properly, we're going to need to also make these happen. And then make sure you place obsidian on this level right here, because these moving will block some things so it'll close properly. You can see now that worked. The back piston's extended. You can delete these blocks, delete these blocks. You also have to delete this piston, this piston, this piston, this piston. So it's kind of remove everything. You can remove the obsidian too. Right there, you can see. It will retract like that in the sink. So now place those back. Place block there, 2 sticky pistons back there, block here, and then replace your obsidian, block those off, and that's it. And we can move on to the sides finally. So the first thing we have to do is power this wall here to pull these blocks out, which we're going to do with an observer out of that note block. Then a rail, another observer here. You might be wondering, this isn't a solid block, what are you doing? It pushes up instantly, so it's totally fine. These blocks move up, and then that's why they're there. Then an observer here as well to power the wall at 2 ticks. Now we're going to be placing a 1 game tick slider right here, which is going to be giving pulses to push these pistons out here fast enough so they can grab the blocks. And then it's going to be reused a couple of times. So we're going to have a target here, dark blue right there. Then we're going to have a rail right here on a slab. Then observer facing that way, observer facing this way. And that'll give 2 pulses to that. So now we can have our normal piston right here, normal piston right here next to this one. Have a redstone block. My inventory is dysfunctional right now, like that. And then what we can do to power this, have this right here. This observer will detect the sand falling after 2 game ticks. The repeater here on 1 tick, observer right there. To get the pulses to this back piston here, we're going to have 3-tick repeater, 3-tick repeater like this, to a block, and have an observer right here, block here, and then we're going to have a note block right here. Just delete these 2 pistons, observer right there. And have dust on all those right here, then a detector rail right here to redirect this dust from going into the note block. We can replace these 2 sticky pistons again. And then to get the slider working, we need to have a block like this, and then sand, then a comparator going to this, and that'll give it the right amount of delay. And then to retract this at the right time, we can simply just have an observer here with the dust running up into that. And that'll do almost everything. Now we just need the last pulse, which is pretty easy on this side. So come up to right above where this is, place an observer facing this way into this one. and down. We're going to have a block, and observer facing downward again, and a 2-tick repeater on it, like this. And now, to get the slider to fully work, on this side we're going to have a normal piston right here, which will get powered by this block and torch into that right here. And then we're going to be using this right here, but we have to give it an updater, so have a note block right here, then you can place that right there. And then to push the slider back up, we're going to have the first one coming from this lamp right here into that. That's why that's moved down. And then to have this be locked on the closing so it doesn't push down, we're going to have really annoying repeater placement. So go in this space right here, place a blue block next to the redstone block, and have a 2-tick repeater on this, and come back this way, observer into this 2-tick repeater, observer out of this 2-tick repeater to a block, into a sticky piston, cauldron, water there, and a block, comparator, and a block there. Make sure you update that piston so it's extended. Now that's one side done, so now we can move on to the other one. I have this right here, observer into this, observer here. We're going to have our target, then our blue block right here, dust here. I have a rail here on a slab, observer facing into there, then into this target. I have our 1 game tick slider right here, observer facing down into this. Then to power this, I have this right here, repeater on 1 tick out of this observer, we placed earlier, into this. And then to get the vac pistons on this side, you can build it up right here. 2 3-tick repeaters to a block, running up into observer, block, dust on all those. I keep losing my dust. This is a little bit infuriating. If you like this, I have delete these pistons, no block here, observer here, and then a detector reel on this observer. And place these pistons back. You can have our block here with sand and a comparator to power that. And for the retraction, we leach off of this, like so. Then to get the last pulse on this side, it's a little bit more annoying. This placement is probably the worst of the entire door, so be really careful here. Next to this normal piston comparator thing up in this space, place a slab right here, and place kind of 1-tick repeater on this. And you go over to this side, and see out of this leaf, we can place an observer into this 1-tick repeater, into another observer, into this, going down to a block. And there's one tiny difference here. This is going to be a rail instead of a 2-tick repeater, because this is a bit of a later signal. All right, and then to get the slider on this side, we're going to have something a little bit different. Sticky piston block here, running into this. We're going to have our block here and no block. That's going to be the same. And to push it back up, it's a little bit easier. I'm placing a torch next to this lamp. Place 2 observers going down, 1 across, 1 up, and 2 into this. And then we're going to have our cauldron right here. This one just happens to work out like that, like so. Fill that up. Then have a comparator into this block. Make sure you update that piston. And that should be the entire side done. We can give this a test now. It'll close just fine. Make sure you move these blocks out to here, and we'll see it retract, like so. And now we can actually test all of what we have so far together. This should totally work. It'll do this on the closing because the hipsters don't push up the blocks. So it does a little bit of block swapping. So before you open it, make sure you have it arranged like an H, like this. And then it should retract fully like that. That looks really satisfying. All right, we're going to replace all these, and then we're going to finish off with the top and bottom hipsters, and then we're all done. Well, just, but we already built most of the top hipsters anyways for these side triples, or for the helper triples. All right, anyways, so the first thing we're going to be doing is powering these storage pistons right here. So we're going to have, actually, this is just going to be a little bit easier. So place dust down a slab like this, observer facing down, 3-tick repeater here, then one across, one up, one across, then up again. Dust on those, 3 slabs like so, and then this, and then we can block it off using targets, which will power these pistons right here. And then to retract these blocks, or retract the pistons at the right time, we're going to need to have a retraction at 5 game ticks, which we can get with a sticky piston right here, redstone block. Then it's going to be going into observer right here, or a repeater right here, and have a sticky piston facing downwards, block on it, sand. I'm going to have an observer, or a block right here, and a repeater, which is going to power the sand. That should be it for the storage. And then to power this line right here, I was going to place this line right here, place that line too, place an observer facing to the right, 2 blocks, and then a slab, which I have right here. Have dust on all those. If I can actually find my dust. That's the one thing I don't have is dust, which is nice. Repeaters here, all on 1 tick, like that. And then to actually power this, we're going to be running dust all around like this, block here, and have a note block right here, block up like this, and dust up like this, have a slab right here, a block like this over into this, and then because this would power too early, we need to have a 1-tick repeater on this block right here with an observer, a sticky piston with a block out like this to uncut the line at the right time. And so we're going to go over here now to get the retraction for the blocks from here down. So I'm going to have a leaf right here. I'm going to have this go up into a block right here. Then I'm going to place 3 observers, 1 facing down, 2 across. Go up like this, place an observer facing upwards here, and then across into this. And that's all for later. And then we're going to have a slider controlling the bottom here, and have go into this space underneath here, and right where these sticky pistons are, place 4 observers like this, and place blocks behind them to power it. Then our slider is going to be a little tricky. So we're going to have an observer facing down out of this note block, an observer facing across, 3-tick repeater here. It's going to be powering this sticky piston. Then place an observer facing upwards right here, and then a slab right here, and then 2 repeaters on 2 ticks like this. Alright, I messed up a little bit. So on this sticky piston right here, I'm going to have 2 observers facing to the left like this, and then 2 glass blocks like this, and then the slider right here. And that'll give the 2 pulses to push the blocks up to get powered, to grab the blocks up here. Hard to explain. I really can't explain these hipsters. It's just observer spam. And speaking of observer spam, out of this piston right here, 2 observers this way, then 4 observers into this right here. And then to get the last couple of pulses, I'm going to have a sticky piston right here, observer facing down, observer facing across, and I have to go over here to place a 2-tick repeater underneath this observer right here next to the sticky piston head. You can go back, place an observer right here, and a 1-tick repeater there. That's going to be powering this normal piston, 2 observers like that. And that is the entire bottom hipster circuit done. We can give this a test now. You can see it should retract like this perfectly fine. And now the only thing we need to do now is the top hipsters, which are pretty easy. So first thing we need to do is fill in this right here. Place repeaters like this. Have an input like this as well. Repeaters just like this, and then a target right here. Then to depower this at the right time on the opening, we're going to have a normal piston right here, 3 observers like that, a torch on this right here. And we're going to have this running up slabs like this into this input for both of those. And that'll retract the blocks all the way up to here, so then they'll get retracted by the storage, which we've already finished. And then out of these pistons right here, you can place 2 observers like this, place 2 hoppers like this, 4 observers up, 4 blocks like that, and that'll power that'll power the triple extender to grab the blocks all the way down. And then to get these pulses for the triple, have a normal piston right here, facing up, across to a slab, a rail on that slab, block observer here into this target. And we can actually use this input right here, have a piston right here, that's going to be powering this observer up into this line. And then to retract it, we can simply have this right here, rail, sort of facing down, gets powered by this repeater down to here. And then to get the last pulse to this line right here, we're going to be using this 0-tick generator thing, which is interesting. So it doesn't power this piston. And have this run down to a dust right here. Then we can run this up into a 1-tick repeater to a block here. And the last thing we need to do is have the double pulse to observers here to retract everything all the way up. 4 blocks of glass like this, 4 observers, observer across, block, and then a normal piston to push it back. And now we can delete these hoppers here, fill in those blocks, and give it a test. See those retract and sync, and that should be the entire door done finally. You can give it a test, replace all the blocks with normal blocks, we can see it work. And there we go, that is the door done. We can fill in the door frame here. There's a couple blocks you have to be careful about when changing the door frame blocks. These ones you can just replace. Make sure these are all movable blocks. Fill this all in. If you're replacing the ceiling, just make sure that you place all these repeaters and dust here back after you're all done. So I can give it one final test. And that is the door. Thank you guys so much for watching this tutorial. Hope you're able to follow it decently. I'm going to have to go edit this now, and it's going to take a gazillion years. So thanks for watching. See ya.